Today's daf begins on the bottom of 55b. Just a word about the daf yomi for today is really it's stories, but every line needs to be studied carefully, seriously. And in a few weeks will be Tisha B'Av, and the Beis Hamikdash could be rebuilt before then, God willing. But still, we would still be observing Tisha B'Av. That's what the Gemara elsewhere tells us. So therefore, we will study this Daf Yomi more slowly on that day. So the Gemara says on the bottom of 55b that it says, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Ma'idach Sev, what do we do about the verse? Ashrei Adam Mefachei Tamid. Fortunate is the man who's always afraid, meaning he's always thinking about what could go wrong. Umak Shalibo Yipol Bara. But somebody whose heart is rigid, he's not looking at, he's not flexible, he's not thinking about the consequences. He's going to fall into something bad. Gemara tells us, Kamtu Bar Kamtu Charav Yerushalayim, because of Kamtu and Bar Kamtu, Jerusalem was destroyed. Tarnagol Charav Tormalka, because of a rooster and a hen, Tormalka, a mountainous area, was destroyed. Ashaka Derispa Charav Beitar, because of the side of a carriage, Beitar was destroyed. So first, the Gemara is going to deal with the story of Kamtu and Bar Kamtu. Elsewhere, the Gemara tells us there are other reasons why Jerusalem was destroyed, but this is the reason that's brought into this Gemara. Kamsa bar Kamsa Charav Yerushalayim, the Hu Gabra Derachme Kamsa Ubal de Babe bar Kamsa. There was a man whose friend was Kamsa, but his enemy was Bar Kamsa. Marsha says Bar Kamsa is the son of Kamsa. Makes it even more horrific that there was a man who was willing to be friends with somebody who hated his son. And Avar Suda, so this man made a party. Amrulay Lashame. Zio Aisuli Kamsa. He says to his assistant, go bring me Kamsa. Also Aisuli Bar Kamsa. The assistant brings Bar Kamsa. Also Ashkechei Dave Yosef. So the man who threw the party found Bar Kamsa was sitting there. Amalei Michti Ahu Gavra Baal the Babe Nahu Gavra. So he says, well, listen, you're my enemy. My Baasacha. What are you doing here? Come, poke, get out. He said, okay, since I have arrived here, at least let me stay and I'll pay for my food and drink. We're on the top of 56a. So Amar, so the Gemara tells us, he said to him, well, the man did not allow Bar Kamsa to say, he says, let me at least get half the. Let me pay for half your meal. Let me stay then. I'll pay for half the meal. I'm really low. He says, no. I'll pay for your whole meal. I'm really low. He said, no, you can't do that. So this man took Bar Kamsa on top of 56a, picked him up, threw him out. Amar, so Bar Kamsa said, since the rabbis were sitting here, they didn't object. I discussed this Gemara, by the way, in yesterday's Parashas Shavua Shir on YouTube. I give a few explanations why the rabbis didn't object. But he said, Shema Mina Kanichai. It could have been them they didn't even see. By the way, that's just innocent explanation. Maybe they didn't see it. So Ezo Echobul court. He says, I'll go go disparage them to the Beit Malchut, to the king. Also, Amar Kaiser, he says to the Caesar, Mardubach Yehudai, the Jews are rebelling against you. Amroi Miyamer, he says, who says so? Amroi Shadaru Korva, he says, send them a sacrifice. Chazis imakravinamalei. Go send them a sacrifice and see if they bring it as an offering. Also Shadar Biyade Iglatalta. He found in his, he sent in his hands a very nice calf. That's Iglatalta is a very fancy calf. Bahali Dikaasi Shadabe Muma. And when it was going, he put a blemish on it. Bar Kamsa put a blemish on the calf. Benib sifasayim, on the lip, on the upper lip. Niv is the upper lip. The amrle bedukin shemayim. Some say in the cataract of the eye. There's a duchta do didan having muma or didol having muma. For us, it's a blemish, so we couldn't bring it as a sacrifice. But the idolaters didn't view it as a blemish. It's a very powerful line. There could be something that's a blemish for ourselves. We hold ourselves to a higher standard, but for them, it's not a blemish. The rabbi said, well, bring it anyway. Mishum Shalom Malchus. This way, otherwise the king is going to have a fight with us. Rabbi Zachariah ben Avkulas. Rabbi Zachariah ben Avkulas said, Yom Rabbi Mumin Kriven Lagavi Mizbeach. No, if we do this, then the people might say, oh, you could bring a blemished animal on the altar. Several Mikdalei said, okay, let me at least, let's kill Bar Kamsa, the Leis Ovalema, so he doesn't go and say anything. Amar Rabbi Zachariah, so Rabbi Zachariah said to them, Yomru Matil Mum Bekachim Yaring. No, they'll say, if you kill this man, Bar Kamsa, then people will say, well, if you make a blemish on an animal, you're worthy of death. So he wouldn't let them do that either. So by the way, why don't they go back to the king and just tell him the story? Because no, that's exactly the point. Bar Kamsa was trying to highlight that you guys are different than the Jews. And here, if they would say this is a blemish for us and not for you, then the king would be playing into Bar Kamsa's hands. So, but Rabbi Yochanan said, "Anvatanuto so Rabbi Zachariah ben Abkulas echribas beisenu v'sarfas be'echoenu ve'gulisanu me'artzenu." Says the quote unquote humility of Rabbi Zachariah ben Abkulas destroyed our Beis Hamikdash and kicked us out of our land. Again, in that share I gave yesterday, which is on YouTube, I offer 7 or 8 explanations about why the humility of Rabbi Zachariah destroyed the temple. And the most basic answer is his humility was that he was afraid to make a courageous decision and recognize that there were extenuating circumstances and they required breaking the law or not following the letter of the law. And as a result of this, the temple was destroyed. Shadar Alayo and Neron. So they.
It's not none of this is good reflection on the sages of the time.
It was a team effort to get the temple destroyed. Yeah, of course. They're blaming themselves. The Gemara is blaming themselves. Shadar Alayo Neron Kazar. They sent a message. They sent upon them Nero to destroy Jerusalem. Kikaasi. When Nero came, Shadagira Lemizrach, he sent an arrow to the east. Also, Nafal Yerushalayim, it fell in Jerusalem. And Marav, he sent it to the west. Also, Nafal Yerushalayim came to Jerusalem. Marav Baruchos Hashemayim, he shot up in all 4 directions. Also, Nafal Yerushalayim kept falling in Jerusalem. Amar Yanuka Psokli Psukech. He stopped a child coming out of school. He says, "What verse did you say today?" This was a form of prophecy. So the child said, "Nasati esmech masiba Edom biad ami Yisrael." I'll place my vengeance upon Edom because they attacked Israel. Edom was Rome. So Nero said, Kucha brichu bail charuve beso bail chapur yadibu gavra. Says God wants to destroy his house and he wants to blame me. Arak va'azo. He got up and he ran away. Gayer, and Nero converted. V'nafak minei Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir was his descendant. Shadri lau Laspinius Kaiser. So they sent Vespasian to destroy Jerusalem. Also Tsaro Tlashani. Vespasian made a siege around Jerusalem for 3 years. Hababahanu Tlasa Asiri, there were 3 wealthy men there. Nakdimun Ben Gurion, Ben Kalva Sabua, Ben Tzitzis Akasas. Nakdim Ben Gurion, Shenaktu Locham Bavro, because the Marintinus tells us that the sun, after the sun had set, it popped out to help him. He had made a pledge to support the pilgrims, and the sun came out to support Nakdim Ben Gurion. Ayin Sham, a beautiful story in Tinus 20a. And then there was Ben Kalba Sabua, which we know from the Dharma Ksubas. He was the father-in-law of Rabbi Akiva. But Shekoah Nichnas Labeso, Kashu Rayev, Kakoah, Yotze, Kashu Savea. Whoever went to his house, hungry like a dog, left satisfied. And Ben Tzitzis Akasas, Shnaisa Tzitzaso Neguraros Al Gabe Kisasos. His tzitzis, he was so wealthy that his tzitzis he used to drag on pillows when he walked through the streets. Alternatively, his throne, his chair was amongst the great people of Rome. One of those 3 said, one said, I'll provide the wheat and the barley because they were under a siege. One said, I'll provide the wine, the salt, and the oil. And I'll provide the wood. The rabbi said the one who's giving the wood is the best. The Rav Chisda kol aklidei having maser l'shamei, because Rav Chisda will give all the keys to his attendant bar mitzivi, with the exception of the keys to the wood of the storage of the fuel. The Amar Rav Chisda akalba dachiti by shisim akovei ditzivi. For 1 storage house of wheat, you need 60 storages of wood. They had enough to support everybody for 21 years, which means forever. Avabohanu Barioni, that there was these zealots amongst the Jews. Amru Rabbanan, Nefuk v'Navid Shama v'Adayu. And the Rabbanan said, let's go out and make peace with the Romans. But the zealots, the Barioni, didn't allow them. Amru Lahu, so the Baryonim said, Nefuk v'Navid Kerva v'Adayu. They said, let's go fight the Romans. You can't live under a siege mentality. Amru Rabbanan Lamastai Milsa. They said, no, it's not going to work. So the Baryonim got up and they burnt the storage houses of wheat and barley, and there was a famine there. So the Jews burnt their own stuff. Martha Bas Baitus Atirasu Yerushalayim Havim. Martha Bas Baitus, she was the wealthiest woman in Jerusalem. We know about her from Gemara and Yoma that tells us she was married to Yeshua ben Gamla. She helped him become the Kohen Gadol. So she was very wealthy. Shadarti Lashlucha, she sent her messenger out. She said, bring me the best flour. The azal is davim, and it was sold by the time he got there. Asamarway, he told her this. So he said to her, Smida leika chiyurta. He says, I don't have the smida, I only have the chiyurta. Amarway zil aisili, go bring me that. The azal is davim asam amarway. It was sold. He said to her, Kushkara leika. There's the next level down, Gushkara. So she said, Zil Aisili, go get it for me. The Azal is Davin, it was sold before he got it. Basically, a series of decisions. You're always $1 short and a day late. And that's the Jewish communal decisions, the way they were being made. She said, there's barley flour. Zil Aisili, go get it for me. The Azal is Davin, it was sold. Is Dabin Hava. So Shlifa Misana, she removed her shoe. Amra Epok Verse, Imishkachna Midim Mechel. She said, let me go out and see if I can find something to eat. Esivwa Parta Bikara. So she put her foot on some feces on the ground, mace, and she died. Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai recited about her the verse Harakav V'cha V'anuga Sharlonista Kafragla, that the fine ones amongst you, that she had never been tested, her foot had never been tested, and now here she is stepping on the feces. Some say she ate the fig of Rabbi Tzadok. We'll see what that was, and as a result of that, she became horrified with Mesa. She died. The Rav Tzadok Yosef Arban Shanim B'Tanisa. Rav Tzadok sat for 40 years in a fast day to Charav Yerushalayim, and that Jerusalem would not be destroyed. When he ever ate anything, it was visible from outside his body. And when he was trying to get healthy, they brought him figs. He sucked out its juice and he threw it down. And when she was dying, she threw out what called the hava v'kasba. She took out all her gold and silver, shadita v'shukas. She threw it in the marketplace. Amra, hi lamai. What do I need? Hi lamai mi bayale. What do I need the gold and silver for? So it says in the verse, they're going to throw out their silver, their money into the streets. So Abba Sikra, he was the Reish Bar Yoni Yerushalayim. He was the head of the zealots in Jerusalem. Baruch Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai. He was the son of the sister of Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai. So he sent him a message. So Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai sent a message to his nephew, Tavet Sinol Gavai, come secretly to me. Also he came. So Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai says to Abba Sikra, how long are you going to do this? And all the people are going to die from a famine. So Abba Sikra says, my Avid. He says, I can't do anything. I'm the head of these zealots, but I have no power. If I'll say something, they'll kill me. Even the leader of the rebels, he can't control them. So Rabbi Yochanan says, at least make a solution for me, the Apok, so that I could get out. After the Aviatzala Porta, I'll make a little bit of Atzala, a little salvation. So Abba Sikra says to Rabbi Yochanan, okay, pretend you're sick. Not everybody come and just act with you like you're about to die. I see midi saria and take a smelly animal and let it sleep in your bed. People say you died. Let your students carry you out. Don't let anybody else touch your body. We don't want them to feel the out that you're lighter still. The inu yade, because everybody knows the chayai kalil mimisa, that somebody who's alive is lighter than dead weight. So we did this. Nichnas bo Rabbi Eliezer mitzad achar, Rabbi Shua mitzad achar. So Rabbi Eliezer was carrying him on one side, Rabbi Shua on the other side. Kimatu apisla, when they came to the gate, bo and midkare. So the Baryonim didn't want to let anybody out of the city because they wanted to fight. So they tried to pierce the coffin with a spear. Amr Lahu, he said to them, Abba Sikra said, no, don't do this. Yomru Rabban Dekaru. They'll say, people say they pierce their rabbis. Bo and midkare, they wanted to jostle the coffin to see if he'll yell out. Amr Lahu, Yomu Rabbanan Dechafu. I'll say that they push around the rabbis after they die. So what happened? So Paslu Bava, so they opened the gate for them. Nafak, when he came out, Kimato Asam, when Yochanan Zaki arrives at the Roman camp, he comes to Vespasian, Amar Shamal Echamalka, Shamal Echamalka. He says, peace upon your king, peace upon your king. So Vespasian says, Mechayeves Trei Katoa, you're liable for death twice. First of all, I'm not the king. You call me kings, you're liable for death. Visu, and furthermore, if I'm really the king, how come up until today you haven't come? We just pause for a second. So there's once a chazan who was about to be the chazan for Rosh Hashanah, for Shachris, and he came to a melech to start the prayers, and he passed out. And they woke him up and they said, "What's going on?" He said, all I could see was this line before I could say Amelach. This line was all I could see. Up until today, why haven't you come? If I'm the king, how come all the way until today you haven't shown up? I'm away. So Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai says, that what you said, I'm not the king. We're on the top of 56b. Ibra Malkat. You're going to be the king one day. If you weren't the king, no, Jerusalem wouldn't be able to hand it over into your possession. The Adir is a king because it says Levanon is a temple. As it says, as it says, Moshe Rabbeinu asked to see the Levanon. The Gamra see Malkana Amilo causes. He said, well, if I'm the king, how come you didn't come to me until today? Up until today, the Baryonim didn't want me to come. So Vespasian wasn't buying it. He said, let's say you had a barrel of honey and a snake around it. Wouldn't you break the barrel so on account of the stink? So meaning you should have broken the walls and got out. Ishtik. So Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai was quiet. Rabbi Yosef, Vitim Rabbi Akiva. So they challenged, they said, how could Rabbi Yochanan have said this? They said, God is going to cause us, the Chachamim from Isaiah, to become foolish, and they don't know what to say. Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai should have said, Shaklin Savta, Vishaklin Drakon, he should have said, we'll take tongs, get rid of the snake, and then we'll have the barrel. So we didn't have to, I didn't want to break the walls. I was trying to get rid of the snake that way. In the meantime, a messenger came from Rome. They said, rise up, Vespasian, you've risen in power. The Mislay Kaiser, because the Caesar has died. And the Senate in Rome has made you the head. He had already put on one shoe. He wanted to put on the other shoe. So he had put on one shoe, he wanted to put on the other shoe. He couldn't do it. Wouldn't go on. So he said, okay, when we remove the first shoe, it wasn't able to go out. My eyes. So Vespasian says, what's going on? He says, don't be upset. You heard good news, and it says, and when you hear good news, your bones become fat. What should you do? So Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai said, "Leisi inish to a mitzvah dai tachmine." Bring a person who you don't like. Let him walk in front of you. They'll say ruach nechaat yavish garem, because it says that if you have a ruach nechaat yavish garem, it says in the verse in Proverbs, if there's a bad spirit, it'll dry up your bones. He did this and it worked. So we say, well, if you're so smart, how come you didn't come until now? Didn't I already tell you? I couldn't get out. He said, I already gave you an answer. You should have broken the walls. So this patient said, I need to leave. I'm going to send another person in my place. Ask for me whatever you want, and I'll give it to you. So what does he ask for? What does Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai ask for? He says, give me Yavne and its scholars. Number 2, give me Shushilta to Rabbi Gamliel. Give me the family of Rabbi Gamliel. Number 3, V'asvata, the Messiah-in-law, Rabbi Tzadok. Give me the doctors to heal Rabbi Tzadok. Karli, Rabbi Yosef, Itim, Rabbi Akiva. Meishiv Chachamim Achor B'datam Yisakel. So some say it was Rabbi Yosef, some say it was Rabbi Akiva said about him. The Chachamim became foolish. He should have said, give us one more chance with Jerusalem. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai said, maybe Vespasian would never do that, but he wouldn't even get a small salvation. This is what every leader meets with authority has to ask for. Do you go for the big prize or do you just get Atzala Porta? Asfata the Masyanai, Rabbi Tzadok Mahi. What did the doctors do to heal Rabbi Tzadok? Yom HaKadmar, one day, Ashkiu Maya the Be'er. They gave him water that was soaked with just bran, very thin. Machamai the Sipuka, Machamai the Kimcha. They kept making the water thicker and thicker and thicker. Ad the Ravach Meyaya Porta until his stomach became expanded. Azal Shadra Titus Arasha. So Vespasian went back and they sent Titus the wicked one. And Titus said, Ey Elohimo, Surchas Yobo. It says about Titus, this verse from the Varim, they'll say, where is their God? Surchas Yobo. Where is their God? Meaning to say, they'll say, where is their God who's so strong that they lean upon him? Meaning to say, Zed Titus Arasha Shachira Fakidev Klapimal. This is Titus who cursed and did abominations against God. Masa, what did Titus do? Tafa Zona Biyado, and this is a one of the keynotes on Tisha B'Av night. He grabbed a harlot in his hand. He entered into the Holy of Holies. He for Torah. He spread out a Torah scroll. He committed a sin on it. He took a knife and he smashed it through the curtain. A miracle happened via dam mivat space. The blood was boiling, and coming out. The kasavar haragas atzmo. And Titus said, I killed God. He thought he killed God. It says, Shagutza recha mekaramo adecha samu osos sam osos. Your enemies will shout out in your midst on your holidays, and they'll make their signs the signs, meaning to say they'll make up their own calculations. Abu Chanan Omer says, Mika mocha chasinya, meaning to say, Mika mocha, who's like you, chasin mekasheh, who's so hard, shata shomen you tzov v'gidufo, shnosa rasha, you hear the curses of that wicked one, Titus, mishosik, and you're quiet. To be Rabbi Shmuel Tana, Mika mocha ve'elim Hashem, who's amongst you, amongst the mighty ones, Mika mocha ba'alim, meaning who's mute like you. Masa, what did Titus do? Natos aparochas, he took the current from the temple. Masu come in. Gargutani, he made like a basket, maybe called Kelim Shabbat. He brought all the utensils in the temple, and he put it in the curtain. He took them to his ship to make it like a praiseworthy in his city, as it states. That's the verse from Koheles. Al tikri kavurim ela kavutzim. I see them gathered up. Al tikri vayishtachu al vayishtachu, meaning to say they brought back the spoils so that they could be praised. Ikud amri kavurim mamash tafiu mili de matron igalon, mean buried, meaning even those things that were hidden away became revealed. So there was this a wave in the sea that stood up against Titus, Latovo, to drown him or to sink his ship. Titus said, it seems to me like their God is only powerful in the water. This is how he defeated Paro. Sisera drowned in the sea. So their God is trying to destroy me in the water. And Gibaru, if he's really mighty, let him fight me on the dry land. Make war with me on the dry land. I have a heavenly voice went out and said, you're a wicked son of wicked. You're the grandson of the wicked Esav. I have a very small creature in my world. It's a gnat. Why is it called a bir yakawa? It can eat, but it doesn't excrete. Go up on the dry land and make a war against it. So Titus goes on the dry land. This gnat came along. And entered into his nostrils. And it started attacking it, his brain. By the way, my brother was an ENT, and he actually wrote an article talking about the medical phenomenon that Titus went through here. You can look it up. David Eisman. So he was knocking along on the brain. Sheva Shanim, he did this for 7 years without relief. Yom Echad, one day, one day he was passing in front of a blacksmith. Shama Kol Arzafta. He heard the sound of the hammer, Ishtik, and the gnat was quiet. Amar Ika Takanta. Oh, he says, this works for me. Kol Yoma Maisu Nachla. Every day we brought the blacksmith. And he would tell him to bang his hammer in front of him. To the non-Jew, he'd give him 4 zuz. He's to the Jew, he says, I don't have to pay you. It's enough for you, a reward that you see my distress. This worked for the first 30 days. So after that, it stopped working because the gnat was used to it. I was amongst the nobles of Rome. When Titus died, they broke up his brain. Drawer, they found a free bird inside his brain. It weighed 2 selah. Could gozel bench a pigeon, a 1-year-old. Mishkal Shnei Liter, and weighed 2 liter. Amar Abaye Natinan Piv Shal Nechoshes V'Tzipor Nav Shal Ba'arzel. Its mouth was copper, its fingernails were iron. Kiava Kamayas. When Titus died, Amar Lahu, he said to them when he was about to die, L'Kal Yuel Gavra, burn him, L'Badre, L'Kitme Hashev Yami, and sprinkle his ashes over 7 days. Delolish Kachai Alawa Yehudi Belukme Bedina. So that the God of the Jews doesn't find me and bring me to court and to bring me to judgment. We'll stop the recording here. Obviously, this Daf Yomi is filled with, each line needs to be understood and analyzed. And of course, you see it's ancient history, but the more things change, the more they stay the same. See a series of communal mistakes through arrogance, unable to prevent a bad situation from getting worse. Have any questions or maybe